Now let's bring in our correspondent Ali Mustafa in Kabul. Ali, U.S. officials say the Taliban has agreed to let 200 Americans leave the country. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, before I say anything on that, I think it's important to tell our viewers, Jafar, that I'm at the Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport, standing in front of a United Arab Emirates humanitarian. Well, let's show our viewers where I'm at. That's the UAE plane that just landed about 25 minutes ago. It was filled with humanitarian supplies, which have now been offloaded. And it's like almost an air corridor that has been created between the United Arab Emirates and other countries. Now, the tarmac has been cleaned from where we were about a couple of weeks ago when the Americans left. And the Emiratis aren't the only ones that are sending humanitarian supplies. That aircraft has come from Pakistan International, from Pakistan. It's a Pakistan Air Force C-130. It carried supplies as well, wheat flour, medicine, other essentials, cooking oil, and they have just taken out all the supplies. Pakistan intends to send 3 humanitarian planes, 1 to Kabul, 2 to other parts of the country, even 1 to Khost. This is in addition to the land route that will be bringing in trucks full of humanitarian supplies as well. Pakistan does get a bad rep as far as Afghanistan is concerned, with some political forces and some people who are against the Taliban as well, saying that Pakistan is the major mentor and pusher of the Taliban, that the Taliban are its proxies, but Pakistan does share a long border with Afghanistan. Throughout history, it has hosted around up to 4 million refugees. And now, if there is a humanitarian crisis in this country, it will be in Pakistan as well. So with that in mind, not just Pakistan, the UAE, Sarafat in her report mentioned Qatar, all are trying to create some sort of humanitarian air corridor, keep this as a base, Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport, and keep bringing in humanitarian supplies, aid, essential food items, and so on and so forth, Jafar.
Right now, Ali, while humanitarian aid is being flown into the Taliban-led Afghanistan, the Taliban have been subjected to a lot of criticism, especially by the United States and the European Union, for not forming an inclusive interim government. Tell me, how have the Taliban reacted to this?
Well, the idea of inclusivity has different meanings for the Taliban, especially at this stage. The Americans and the European partners are seen as retreating powers here. They tried an experiment for 20 years to try to bring some sort of democracy, albeit illiberal in some ways, in this country. That experiment failed. The Taliban walked into a vacuum, and at this stage, they don't really care much about what the Americans are saying, except, of course, when it comes to unfreezing Afghanistan's reserves. Because in the absence of hard cash, in the absence of foreign reserves, this country is facing a humanitarian crisis. And the Taliban keep repeating that over and over again. They say they don't have enough time, so they've come up with an interim setup. They need to get a hold of the situation first before they can aspire for more egalitarian ideas, according to the Taliban. So first comes first, economy, averting a humanitarian disaster. And for that purpose, they need aid, they need humanitarian dollars provided by the World Food Program, provided by the United Nations. The big problem here is that all of that technical staff has left with the UN, with the WFP. So the people that are left behind have had to multitask, have had to manage things in the absence of a system. Now that the Taliban are introducing a system, even if it isn't liked by the West or the European Union, they say they can attempt and they say they can try to get a hold of the situation with the help of its neighbors, essentially.
All right, Ali Mustafa in Kabul, thank you very much for that update.